everyone, and welcome to an episode of Cinnamon Stitches. I am your yarn host, Jennifer. Okay guys, today I am going to show you how to knit a pumpkin. Now, do not worry if you do not know how to knit. I mean, if you want to try to learn how to knit, you could try to knit along with me. If you can't get it, I am going to make a crochet pumpkin video as well. So we are going to knit a pumpkin today, and in the very near future, we are going to crochet a pumpkin with this very same yarn. You do not have to have this same yarn. This is what I'm using because this is what I have. I do not have a lot of orange yarn. I have orange in Super Saver, which you guys know how I feel about Super Saver, but it has made pumpkins for me in the past, and they make fantastic pumpkins, and it's just not my favorite yarn to work with. And I also wanted something that worked up kind of quick. This, as of the recording of this video, which was like a week ago, this was available on Premier's website. I don't know if it will still be there. It is a 5-pack for $10. This yarn is luscious and soft and squishy, and I do not have an affiliate link for this yarn, but 5 for $10 is an excellent price, and I have bought like several colors of this yarn because I like it so much. But I bought this specifically to knit and crochet pumpkins with. So this is just an orange bulky yarn. There's 87 yards in this little tiny skein. It is a number 6 super bulky, and the needles that I am using currently are a US 11, or I believe these are 8 millimeters if I am correct, but a US 11. Okay, so and the cord is a 16-inch cord, so this also will do really good with bulky hats, especially like, you know, the hats I've been making lately. Okay, so what I gotta do is find the center of my skein and center pull, and of course we're gonna get a little bit of yarn barf, but that's all right because this does not tangle on itself. It pulls out really easily. I'm going to lift you guys up just a little bit. Now I want you to cast on 40 stitches in whatever your favorite cast on method is, because you will know I have only been knitting a short period of time, and I wanted to do something fun with some of you guys who have been knitting a short time like I have been, or just learning and maybe want to learn how to knit a pumpkin. I am not an expert at knitting, so please, if you feel that I'm doing something incorrectly, I don't want to hear that in the comment box. It's okay. I do things different. It's okay. I cast on just how I cast on. I do a slip stitch. I hold the yarn. And the way I learned was from Jada Stitches. You hold it like this and you put a loop on. Okay? I have changed that up a little bit because it's faster if I hold the yarn like this. But really, if you just hold it on your finger like that, you can cast on just like that. No big deal. But I hold it like this, and this counts as number 1. We're going to cast on 39 more stitches. So for a total of 40 loops on your hook. Okay? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, and 40. Now, we want to make sure that this ridge always stays on the same side, because we are going to be knitting in the round. Yay! We don't want it to twist. And you see it's going to fight me. It's going to fight me. There's a little bit of memory in these cords. That's okay. I actually really like these cords. It doesn't bother me once I get it all stretched out. Now, if you have a problem, I'm going to show you guys a trick, okay? Because I got a trick. If you have a hard time keeping that from twisting, you can absolutely do the first row before you connect it in the round. And I will show you how to do that right now, okay? We are going to, for the first row, we're not even going to connect it. If you know how to do this in the round and you want to connect that now and you can keep that straight, by all means. This is easier for beginners to do it this way. It's easier for me to do it. This is how I start all of my Ross hats, which is totally wrong, but that's okay. All right. We are going to do knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2. So all the way across, we're going to knit and purl. And of course, I do this first one, I always do backwards because that's just how I do it, okay? My first one's going to be a twisted stitch. I'm going to knit, okay? And then we're going to switch and we're going to knit this way. Knit. It says my first 2 stitches are knit. Then we're going to come to the front and we're going to purl. Now this, if you don't know how to knit, this is not a teach you how to knit tutorial. This is teach you how to do a pumpkin, and this is knit if you already know how to knit. Okay? This is not a knitting tutorial because I'm not good enough to do all that. So that's knit, knit. And then purl and purl and knit and knit and purl. Now this is a 2x2 rib. In case you didn't know, it's a 2x2 rib. Now we're going back to the knitting. And this is what will cause the ridge. This will what is what blah 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 blah. This is what will create the ridges in the pumpkin. Purl, knit, knit. Now when I first started to knit, I'm gonna push my stitches over. When I first started to knit, I would have to write down whether I knitted or I purled the last stitch, because for the life of me, I could not figure out that this was a purl and that was a knit. So if you pull it down a little bit, you see how it crosses over the top like this, like a scarf would. And up here is like just a straight bump, where this is like a cross bump. I had the hardest time, and even now, like it's hard to tell for me. I gotta like really like study it. Is that a knit? Is that a purl? But that's a knit. Rest assured. And then we'll go back to purl 2 more. Purl. If anybody's curious about these needles, I got them off Premier's website. They are wood. And if any of you are like professional knitters and you're watching me fumble these, keep in mind, I am still new. I am still very new. We are going to continue doing this knit 2, purl 2 for about roughly 8 inches. Or if you want a taller pumpkin, go 10, go 12, it doesn't matter. This is going to be your design. So you're going to do this knit 2, purl 2 until you reach the height you want your pumpkin to be. It's going to be a tube. It's going to start off as a tube, and then I will show you how to close it off. See, now I gotta look. I gotta look and study my stitches. If you're a beginner and you have a hard time, it's okay that you have a hard time. Remember, it took me 2 years. 2 years of practicing and failing to finally get how to knit. And I know very little. I know very little, but that's okay. We're all doing this together. We're all learning together. Some of you are laughing at me because you've been knitting for 50 years, but that is okay. It's all good. We're all good in the neighborhood. Pushing it up, pushing it up. And this is where we are going to connect it. Doing this first row for me, this might be different for you guys. Doing this first row for me is easy for me to connect it, because even when I crochet, I twist my stitches. I don't twist my stitches. I twist my first row, and I always end up messing it up. This part here always gets twisted around, and something I gotta mess with it to fix it. So when I do this first row, you see how there's a little more to grab on? there's a little more to weigh itself down, and it all holds itself like in the round like that. So now I can connect it, and even though this first cast on row is not connected, it doesn't matter, because when I weave in my tail, I weave it across this way and connect it, and then weave it back so it stays secure. And besides, we're gonna cinch all that together. This is gonna be the bottom of our pumpkin, so it's not gonna matter anyway. So when you do this, you want you can make this bigger or smaller. You can use different yarn, you can use different needles. You want this to be a multiple of 4, because you're gonna have the 2 and the 2 and the 2 and the 2. Okay, so you want it to start with knit and end with purl, so that it continues the 2 by 2 in the round as you go. So now we're back to the beginning. We are just going to connect here, and we're going to knit and knit, then purl and purl and knit and knit and purl and purl. And we're going to just keep going around in a circle, just around and around and around and around until you get it to the height of the pumpkin you want it. You want it to be short and squatty? Go 6 inches, go 8 inches. You want it to be one of those tall, skinnier pumpkins? Go as tall as you want it to be. Just every once in a while, check it and see if it's, that's why I recommend, if you guys look at my wrist, this is something else I got on Premier's website that is absolutely invaluable to me. It looks like it's just a bracelet. This does not leave me unless I'm in the pool or the shower, although I have gotten in the shower and the pool with it, and it has not caused any damage to it. It is a leather bracelet. And hang on, let me finish this last purl here. Look. So what I do is I just pop it off, and then I measure how tall something is. It's got inches and centimeters on there. And then it's very easy to get back on one-handed. So you go like that. This was $9.99. This is absolutely invaluable to me, because I use it just about every day. All right, now see, I put it down, I started talking. Now I have to look. See the last one here? That's a purl. See how it's got a little bump right there? And then this one, if you pull it down, it kind of looks like the ribbons that they use for awareness, like breast cancer awareness or whatever. See how it goes like that? That's how you know that's a knit, and that stitch should be knit. Okay, guys. I'm going to leave you to your own devices, and then when you get to the desired height of your pumpkin, 6 inches, 57 inches, well, 57 inches, that would be more of a tube at that point, but you know, my pumpkin is probably going to go to about 8 inches. And then I will show you guys, we're not going to just do like your typical cinch at the top. The bottom is absolutely going to be cinched. The top, we're going to do some decreases, and don't worry, you don't need DPNs or anything weird like that. You're just going to need these 2 knitting needles, and we're going to do a little decreasing when we get to the suggested height. And yeah, I will see you there. So this is what I have so far. Of course, this is just going to be a small pumpkin. You can make this, like I said, you can make this bigger, and this is going to stretch significantly. But we're just we're just doing a small pumpkin today. You can make this as big or as little as you want. This is what it looks like so far. And I will show you. It is measuring just under 5 inches. Okay, so we're going to keep going until we reach about 8 inches. But I just wanted to show you what it should look like. And if you saw my other pumpkin, I'll grab it real quick. I did make mistakes on my other pumpkin. This one is actually going to be, this one's much bigger than this one's going to be. But you see, I made mistakes, and I left them in there. And it's okay, because like most of the pumpkin is perfect, but I had a little bit where I messed up right there. It's okay. This is what it's going to look like when it is all done and stuffed. So we're just checking in so you guys can see my progress and check your progress. Make sure this is what your pumpkin looks like. See, this is what knit stitches look like. This is what purl stitches look like. Okay, and then I will check back in with you guys when we get to 8 inches, and I will show you what to do. We're going to cinch this part closed, and then we're going to do some decreases up here. All right, I'll see you in a few minutes. All right, so take out our handy dandy measuring tape. We are just slightly under, we're just at 8 inches. So we are going to get ready, and I am going to show you how to do a little bit of a decrease. We're not going to do a serious decrease. I'm just going to basically, we are going to decrease all of the purl stitches together all the way around. So we're going to regular knit, and then we're going to purl these two together, and then knit and purl and purl. Well, purl together. You'll see. I'll show you. I will show you. We are at the beginning of the round. That's how we keep track. I don't use a stitch marker for this because it doesn't have to be perfect, because it is a pumpkin. You're representing something that occurs in nature, and nothing in nature is perfect. So we're going to start off our round, and we're going to do knit and knit. Okay, and then when we get to the 2 purls, we are going to purl those 2 together. Okay, and then we are going to knit and knit, and then purl these 2 together. My skein is on my string. Oh no. Purl these 2 together. Then knit and knit. We're going to do this all the way around. Purl these 2 together. And what it's going to do is it's going to take the ridge, and it's going to cinch them all up together, because what we are going to do is we're going to cinch it closed at the top and at the bottom, and we're going to stuff it. Of course, we're going to cinch the bottom first, and then we'll do the top. And there is no, like, we're not going to do like a typical bind off. We are just going to, I'll show you that in a minute. There's no sense getting ahead of ourselves. Slow down, Jen, slow down. We're still just knitting and purling 2 together. I'm gonna make us a stuffed pumpkin. I don't know about you guys, but I like to sing in my head while I knit and crochet. A lot of times I will go knit, knit, purl, purl, knit, knit, purl, purl. See, and then I was going to purl, purl there because I was singing it in my head. It's how we keep things interesting. Either that or I'm completely insane. The judges are still out on that one. All right. Alarm is going off on my phone. And then these 2 are our last 2 knit, because there's only 1 purl in between. Okay guys, so now this round we are going to decrease the knit rows. Okay, so we're gonna just purl our single purl, yeah, and then we are going to knit our 2 knits together, and then purl, and then knit 2 together. Now your stitches might stretch out a little bit right here because we're cramming them down on these needles, and that's okay. Perfect. Okay, because we're gonna cinch these all together. And then we're gonna purl and knit 2 together. And purl and knit 2 together. All the way around this round. The reason we don't do anything special on the bottom is because we want a wider base on the bottom. We want it to sit a little bit flatter. We want this to come together a little more and form more of a smoother top. At least that's the way I do it. And in theory, you could just do no decreases, do this, and then cinch it together. But sometimes there's a little bit more of a gap there. And I have seen tutorials that does that. And then they stick like a cinnamon stick in the top, or you could totally do that. There are lots of tutorials for that too. It's not a big deal. You can see I'm fighting these stitches a little bit, but it's not like horrible. You just gotta keep sliding them on around. Sliding them around. Purl, knit 2 together. Purl, knit 2 together. And I grabbed too much yarn there. Oh, there we go. Alright, and this will be our last purl. And it will be the end of this row. And what we're going to do is find our handy dandy scissors, and we're going to cut a string. I'm going to say 8 to 10 inches. Doesn't matter. I just cut a long string. And get your darning needle or your yarn needle, whatever you call your sewing in the ends needle. And we are going to make sure we're going in the right direction. And we are going to take and transfer these stitches to our needle. And by doing that, you just put it on the needle and you pull. Put it on the needle and pull. Put it on the needle, pull it off. Make sure they stay on the needle. Nothing horribly complicated about this. And actually, I think we are going to cinch the top first, and then we'll go ahead and stuff it and cinch the bottom. And you can pull this through because your yarn is still connected to your stitches back there. You just pull that through. Cinch as you go. Oh, I pulled my hook out my needle out the wrong way. You just keep transferring. You can transfer a couple at a time if you want. If that's easier. Just transfer them over. Just transfer our stitches over. And done. Now, just gonna cinch it, cinch it, cinch it, cinch it as tight as you can get it. This will be the top of our pumpkin. And what I like to do here is go another round, just sewing it through the loops. Turn, pull, sewing it through the top loops. You can go a couple times if you want. And then at some point I want you to go backwards just to lock it in a little bit. And last thing we want is for our pumpkin to come undone after a couple years of being decorations. And then if you want, you can reverse it again, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to take and push it through the center here. flip it inside out, and then you can weave it in again some more in here, just a little bit. Just weaving it back and forth. And I'm just going to put a little tiny knot. Nothing spectacular. It does not have to be tight because you weaved it in so much. And you can just leave that in there and it'll be stuffing. No big deal. Now we're going to cut another piece about yay big. It doesn't really matter. We're going to hook it on here. Now this is a little trick that I like to do. This will lock your stitches on. I make a slip knot on this end. Okay. See, just a slip knot. And then when I attach it here, I put my hook through. Okay. And then I put it through that slip knot and tighten the slip knot down. And this is how I attach this yarn to the to the pumpkin. Okay, so now is when we bring in our little bag of stuffing. Now this is not a lot of stuffing. We're getting towards the end of my bag. I got this big giant bag of stuffing. It's a big a vacuum bag at my thrift store for $1.99 for an entire full bag of Polyfil. So we're gonna get our Polyfil out, and we're probably gonna use the last of my thing. I like to fluff it before I stuff it in there so you don't have any hard bits. You don't have to do this, but I like to fluff it a little bit. And then we're going to stuff it in there. And we got our needle is still attached. And that's because we're going to stuff and then we're going to cinch closed and see if we need to add any more stuffing. Don't forget, just fluff it up a little bit. And stuff some more in there. We want it stuffed enough that it looks like a pumpkin, but we don't want it too stuffed to where all the white stuffing comes out, because that is we're going to use every last bit of this stuff and fluff. And a tip that I have learned is you push it from the center out towards the sides and then fill up that hole. Alright, that was the last of it. We're all done now. We are all empty. And now we have a little pumpkin head. I would actually like this to be a little bit more filled for my personal taste, but we're out, so that's good enough. Just fluff it up in there. Alright, now to cinch this off, you see my stitches are kind of loose. I don't know if yours are going to be like that, but what I'm just going to do is I'm going to weave in and out. It does not matter how good or how terrible you are at weaving this. You just got to make sure that you get all the stitches so that you don't have a gap. Last thing we want is our pumpkin leaking out his stuffing everywhere. Then you get so far and you pull it through. See, then that part is cinched. And you just keep on weaving through the stitches. Weaving a tapestry. Just keep on, and then you pull it when you get so far. See? And this is the point where you get it so far and you're like, okay, well, does that feel like a good stuffed pumpkin? For me, probably not. I would like more stuffing, but that's alright. I actually have a brand new bag of stuffing in the closet. I just don't feel like breaking into it just yet because I actually have plans for that bag of stuffing. I'm sorry if you can hear my daughter screaming. I don't know what it is with young people, children, teenagers. They don't want to walk up the stairs. They'd rather scream from the bottom floor. I can't say anything. I would have did the same thing when I was her age. And then we're just going to keep on weaving it in and out. And pulling. Got a little bit more to go right there. Connect that and pull it tight. that is probably gonna have to be weaved in because I don't want to stay in there. That's all right, we'll weave that in. Okay, and then you can just squish it until it gets the form that you want it to be. And see how the top comes together like this? And it makes, this is the perfect spot for you to grab yarn to attach the green part for the stem, and that's exactly what we're gonna do. And the bottom part, see, is a little bit flatter because we didn't have any increases or decreases there. See? Let's weave this in. Of course, the hole is a little bit gappier there, but that's okay. We're just going to do like we did with the top. We're just going to weave it in a whole bunch to lock those stitches in. Weaving and weaving and weaving. I actually find this part to be very relaxing and soothing. I apologize if there is like a mechanical noise in the background. My very loud fan is blowing just outside this door to cool off the rest of the house because it's still hot here in Virginia. And I can certainly hear it. So if you guys hear that in the background, I apologize. But it's just too hot in the house without that fan blowing. It's blowing all the air upstairs from the downstairs because we need a new AC system, truth be told. Because the upstairs is always hot in the summer. And this room in particular is freezing cold in the winter. Don't know why. So then we just keep weaving this till we get to a certain point. And of course you can stick this into your project somewhere to pull the yarn through. And I just, see, I cut it. I let it go back into the body of the pumpkin. See? And then for this one, this little tail is going to give me problems. Didn't want to go in. Just weave that in a little bit. And then cut that. That's the bottom of our pumpkin. And yeah, we do have some spots where you can see the stuffing, but that doesn't bother me. And then we'll just shape it and form it. And then I'm going to grab my green yarn. This is just some scrap. I believe this is probably Red Heart Super Saver that I got at the thrift store some time ago for like $1. And I will show you how this is probably not the correct way to do this, but this is how I attach yarn. I get a handy dandy crochet hook, okay? And then I'm going to, I did a slip knot. I'm going to attach it here. Okay. And then we're just going to pull up some loops. Okay. It's nothing horribly difficult about this part. But if you're afraid of DPNs, the next part is probably going to scare you. Okay. So we got some loops hooked on there. Let me grab my DPNs. Now again, I will remind you, I am not an expert knitter. There is a very good chance that I'm not doing this correctly at all. And that is okay. I'm showing you how I do this and how it has worked for me. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to slide my DPNs. I'm sure there's an easier way to do this. I am positive of that, but this is what works for me. Slide my DPNs in there, take my needle out, see? Okay, then we're going to move that out of the way. We're going to continue pulling up loops. You guys laughing at me, watch me fumble. Like I said, I am a very, very, very new knitter, okay? Just gonna throw this in there. Okay. Now, we're gonna put a third DPN in there, just to complicate things. Just transfer them over. Alright, now we got just about, we got 4, 4, and 3 on there. And you bring in this handy dandy other one. Find out where we're starting at. Alright, we're starting our row here. We are going to just use these to knit in the round. Now, of course, if you are a new knitter and this scares you, or you don't like DPNs, you do not have to attach the stem this way. You can attach the stem using crochet or use a cinnamon stick or whatever you want. But this is not very hard. I mean, it probably scares a lot of people because it looks more complicated than what it is. You do have to go slow and take your time, and I recommend, when doing something this small, I recommend wood DPNs or double point needles, just because I have lost many a stitches by my metal DPNs sliding right on out, and we don't want that. So just knitting away in a circle. And you do this for several rounds until, oops, the stitch slipped off, until your stem is about the height that you want it to be. I find this, doing it on a formed pumpkin, a little bit easier than doing it on a floppy hat, because a lot of times when I'm doing DPNs on a hat, my needles will stick into the hat, and this needle in particular would be like jamming through the hat. See, this is why I'm like perfectly honest with you guys about my limitations and or my struggles, because I know a lot of you have just jumped on the knitting bandwagon because you wanted to do what I was doing, or you've always wanted to learn, and you're like, hey, if Cinnamon Stitches can do it, I can do it too. Although there are quite a few long-time knitters on here too. But I want you guys all to know, like, it's okay to struggle with something. It's okay to have to go slow. It's okay to have to mess up and start over again, because it doesn't matter if you've been knitting and crocheting for 5 months or 50 years. Like, there's always something new that we can learn. There's always something more that we can push ourselves into doing that maybe scares us. And it's okay to mess up. We're not perfect. No, I don't think there's a podcaster and or knitter or crocheter that is alive that doesn't mess up sometimes. It's all part of the learning process. It's all part of being creative. You see, I gotta keep breaking myself because I can't think. I can't talk and think and concentrate at the same time. And these DPNs are a little worse for wear. They are they are used, and they were a gift to me. And the tips are a little bit broken off on some of these, And so you can see I'm stabbing myself and struggling. Why can I not get it under there? There. Woo, man. Stabbed my finger 8 times with dull wood. But the reason I'm using these is because I find these stick to the yarn really well. And I do have metal ones. I have metal ones upstairs that are fantastic, but when I'm working with something real small like this, they slide out like crazy. And then I end up losing stitches and then I get frustrated. See, we're building our stem. You guys bored at watching me build a stem already? I don't usually show this much of the tutorial process. I usually show you how to do it and then I leave you to your own devices, but I want you to know, if you're scared of DPNs or if you hate DPNs, that you can do this. I mean, it's not the easiest thing in the world, but you can do this. Or you could take the easy route and put a crochet stem on there. I mean, I'm not going to judge you. Because believe me, when I was making this, when I was making my first pumpkin, I was like, you know, it would be so much easier to just crochet a stem on there. And then I was like, no. And I started to push myself and challenge myself. I was like, you can do this. Like, how are you going to learn if you don't try? This was me talking to myself, as I do many times. I find that when I'm knitting and crocheting, like, the rest of the family will just walk away and leave me by myself in the room alone. And so I talk to myself and I say, self, you got this. You're a freaking champion of pumpkin stems and DPNs. And then my family looks at me like I'm crazy because I'm talking to myself. Wouldn't be the first time. I had story time, folks. Story time while we're focused on this pumpkin. My niece is in early childhood development classes. Early childhood development classes. She wants to be a teacher of some sort or help children, specifically children who have had a rough start in life, which is very close to what she has been through. One of her assignments for her early childhood development is because they cannot go into the classrooms right now because of, you know, everything going on in the world. The kids the teenagers, the almost adults, have to make YouTube videos of them reading books and stories to the children, and the YouTube videos will play in the preschool, pre-K classrooms. So like 3 and 4 year olds. And so she asked me, she was like, Aunt Jenny, I don't know how you talk to the camera every day and not feel stupid. I said, baby, you just gotta practice. Pretend like somebody's actually there in the camera that you're talking to. All right, we got to the point where I'm gonna say I'm done. So I cut a piece of string, and we're gonna do the same thing that we did with the pumpkin. We're gonna attach this yarn. So she practiced and practiced the video. I have not yet seen this video because she's shy. She doesn't want to show me. She feels like because I'm such a superstar is what she said. I was like, honey, all you gotta do is watch my videos and look at how I look and just try to copy the way I do things. We're just gonna fish these off of here and put them on this thread. And so she said she did okay. She said she read the book and she showed the pictures to the kids and pretended she was talking to kids. She said, I felt so stupid. I can certainly picture that, because when I first started YouTube, I was very awkward and very self-conscious and terrified what people would say. Totally get all of that. Especially when you're an insecure teenager and you already got issues, you know. Okay, you guys see what I'm doing? I'm just fishing these off and putting them just like we did with the top of the pumpkin. And Ta-da. See, that wasn't that difficult. That was only a couple minutes long. And then we're just going to cinch the top of the pumpkin. We're going to weave this in just to lock in the stitches. Oh, I forgot to put a little bit of stuffing in there, but I didn't have any in here. You can stuff that. You can put a little bit of stuffing in there, and it will hold the stem a little bit sturdier, but I'm not going to worry about that today. This one is probably going to go and be a gift to little man, because he really, really liked my last stuffed pumpkin. And this one's a little bit smaller. I also have a pumpkin. As soon as I get my Halloween decorations out, I will show you. I have a pumpkin I did last year that was crochet, and it was about this size. And I crocheted a little amigurumi face on it, and it is the cutest little pumpkin. And then, because I'm not a big fan of pumpkin spice or anything pumpkin really. I mean, I like candied pumpkin. Candied pumpkin is delicious. It's a Mexican delicacy. Oh man, it's delicious. But I'm not like, I'm more of an apple girl. So after I did, my stitch is loose there. Oh well. After I did my pumpkin amigurumi, I made an apple amigurumi, and it's so cute. And that's in with my holiday decorations too. So of course you just want to like squish it and form it to get it as round as possible. And if you squish it a lot this way, this is kind of a cool trick. See, you'll have a tall skinny pumpkin. Let's pull you up a little bit. Have a taller skinny pumpkin. See, you can actually pinch it here and you'll have more of a gourd shaped pumpkin. See, or you flatten it and you have a short squatty pumpkin. See, if you want to change it every day, make a short squatty one day and a tall skinny the next day, you can squish your pumpkin. It's like therapy because this yarn is so squishy and so soft. Like this could be just like your therapy ball, and you can just squish the pumpkin, squish the pumpkin. Right? Alright guys, I'm going to end it here. I hope you enjoyed my beginner friendly knit pumpkin tutorial. And I hope you make some pumpkins. If you make some pumpkins, guys, please share it with me. Tag me on Instagram, hashtag Cinnamon Stitches. Upload it to my Facebook group. I want to see your pumpkins if you are brave enough to knit a pumpkin. And if not, I will have a crochet tutorial up in the next couple of days, I hope. And I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.